Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hi. Hello, hi.
Hello, hi.
So we'll just take 30 seconds more. And in the meantime, if you could introduce yourself by maybe typing in your name and the place you're joining from in the chat box. All right. Hi, everyone. I'll formally begin. So on behalf of the CMS InTouch team, I extend a very warm welcome to you all to this inaugural session of the CMS InTouch new series, this special issue called for Paper series. This series comprises interactive online events with special issue editors, and attendees meet with special issue editors to learn about calls, ask questions, and get feedback. And today we have the special issue co-editors of Journal of Business Ethics special issue, The Business of Immigration Bodies Across Borders with us. And I have had the honor to collaborate with this fabulous team. A very warm welcome, Marco, Arturo, and Paulina. Martyna could not join us today, but she said she'll watch the recording later on. So over to the team. Paul, do you want to start? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning in Mexico. I hope you're all doing okay. It's a pleasure to be here in this inaugural series, as Vijayta just mentioned. And it's so cool to see that you guys are interested on submitting to the special issue. And we want to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more because about what we are sort of looking for about the timeline, which has been a bit of a question in some communications that we've received. And for you to let us know if you have any questions and if there is any way that we can, help you decide whether or not to submit to the special issue, just, please, just let us know. We're here to help. So for this, we have a few slides, which I promise it's not going to be like a class, it's going to be real quick. So just to introduce the team really quick, it is Marco, which is Marco Distinto, who is soon to join the Open University. Marco, hi. Then Vijayta Doshi, of course, from the Indian Institute of Management at Udaipur. Arturo Osorio from Rutgers University, who should be joining us soon. And myself, of course, and then Martyna Śliwa from Durham University Business School. So we have, I believe, a really cool team. And the reason why we became interested on this topic was because we have all been or are immigrants. So that's why we thought, why not develop this, this special issue on this topic, which we believe is very relevant, very current, and where we can get very, very good papers and very good input. So this list you didn't get, but we did provide, which are some of the topics that we thought might be interesting for the special issue. And they go from, globalization, borders, COVID, ethical practices, refugees, feminist approaches, governmentality, geopolitical complexities, agency, employment, inferior bodies, integration, internal migration, which really feels also very interesting, entrepreneurs, labor workers, of course, how can we improve them, assemblages, neo-post-colonial migration research, organization, business school, universities. Martyna has written on immigrants at universities, which is very, very interesting. Places as bodies and bodies as places of exploitation, identities, exploitation, illegal immigrants. So, I mean, as you see, it's very broad. It's very, very broad. But one of the things that we do want to highlight today is that the immigrant part, if you're thinking about submitting to the special issue, the immigrant part needs to be central to your submission. It cannot look like, you know, an afterthought or something that came additional to your research. It needs to be like, you know, the main issue, and, you know, whatever surrounds it, whatever you choose to study and surrounds immigrants, but immigrations need to be, you know, up front and center in your paper. The other thing that we believe is also very important to share with you, and I'm gonna write this on the chat box, is for you guys to consider. Oh, here's Arturo. He's gonna say hi or hola in a second. So here is the guidelines. This is a JBE link, which we would strongly suggest you to have a look at, because that's where they will, you know, tell you everything about citations, you know, length and everything. So, you know, just take that into consideration, because the journal guidelines is something that we need to follow. As I mentioned before, a clear link and a clear and strong link to ethics, it's paramount for us to consider it. The other thing is length. Please consider that JBE welcome submissions that are ideally 8,000 to 10,000 words. It is for them 12,000 word top, but remember, every time we review a paper or it goes through rounds of review, it always manages to grow. So, you know, sticking to around 10,000 words would be super helpful, so that you have this, you know, additional 2,000 words in case you need to ask to add more of the reviewers' suggestions. And another thing that is important, if you have never submitted to JBE before, is you have a lot of options when submitting regarding where you're going to submit, because JBE has different thematic sections. So in this case, just make very sure that you choose our special issue as the place where you want to submit. Otherwise, it's gonna go somewhere else and we're never going to receive your submission, and that would be a shame. So lastly, time. So as you know, this code was released on December 1st, 2021. So the deadline is December 1st, 2022, which is very close now. And we have received a couple of extension requests. Unfortunately, this is something we cannot do, because the deadline has been, you know, we agreed on this deadline months ago with the journal, and it would be unfair. We would need to move the whole deadline for everyone. So yeah, so we cannot extend. And then this is, you know, an ideal deadline. As you know, in research, it's very hard to stick to this, but the idea is that by the beginning of April, you could get the first round of editorial decision, the reviews. Then you would have a resubmission deadline around the beginning of July, then a second round in November, beginning of November, then a final resubmission in February 2024, and then we would have final decisions in May 2024. So another thing that we wanted to tell you is that if we believe, we want to be very fair with the process. So from the beginning, we think that the manuscript is not going to make it. We're not going to play with the manuscript or your time. So it's going to be like, you know what, this is not, this doesn't cover the scope of the paper. It still needs to be, much more developed, etc. Which I think for us as researchers is always good, because it's always very sad to get, a rejection after, working a lot of it on a paper or spending a lot of time with the reviewers. And as I mentioned, these are general guidelines. This is our ideal timeline, but there might be some changes because of, reviewers' timing, some delayed reviews, etc. But overall, this is our idea. And when we talked about this in 2021, May 2024 looked really, really far away. Now it doesn't that much. That's the main ideas about the special issue. And now, having shared with you this general guidelines about the special issue, we would love to know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, we're here to help.
Thank you, Paulina. Thanks a lot. Yeah, we are open to questions. And we had specifically requested InTouch team to have this in meeting mode so that we could see you, hear you. So please, if you have any question, you can raise your hands and then, yeah, get going.
And of course, Marco and Arturo, who are joining us here from the, the editorial team, if you have anything you would like to add, please do.
No, I just wanted to mention that it's good that we have this opportunity. One of the reasons why we decided to go for this venue is because oftentimes we find ourselves to be in the dark trying to submit to a special issue. And it's a surprise until we submit the paper that we know how can we be guided. So this is to bring transparency into the process, to help you to speed track and gear you. So even though the date looks shorter at this point, we are helping you to get there on time by not wasting your time. So please shoot away.
Oh, Yashar raised his hand. Hi, Yashar.
Yeah. Hello. I hope everybody.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Hi, yeah, sure. Please go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, I'm actually considering submitting something to this special issue, and the paper which we wrote with my co-author for the last almost a year now, or 10 months, tries to actually look at the phenomenon of migrants and refugees from another perspective. So we're basically critiquing the academia's take on refugees, and we present a different approach, which presents us with different understanding of the dilemmas which people engaging with refugees face, both authorities as well as NGOs and etc. So my question is related to what do the guest editors yourselves are expecting in terms of theoretical contribution, in terms of extending certain theory, or is extending also understanding of certain phenomena is within the scope of this special issue?
Paulina,
Paulina?
you want to take this one?
Yeah, Paulina.
First, nobody was answering, and then we all wanted to answer. So I would just say we do need to see a clear theoretical contribution, extending theory, building, of course, building on what you find, on what has been previously done. That's what I meant. And of course, extending that and providing us with, providing us readers with a new understanding of this phenomenon, which seems to be very interesting. And I believe, and I think Arturo, Marco, and Vijayta are going to agree, if you take it from a different perspective, it's going to help in terms of originality, because the thing with immigration is that it seems like a lot has been done. So finding a place to be original in this one is a bit difficult. So I mean, if you found a different take, I think it's going to be very valuable.
Mm-hmm. Well, also what we're trying to extend there is the politics and ethics part, mostly in that process or practice of, for example, organizing refugees or organizing migrants and so on. So that's why we do not specifically say we present a new theory here in terms of organizational theory or something. It's more about the take of certain philosophy, which enables us to deal with certain politics within that process. So I don't know whether it would make the ends meet in that respect, but
Arturo, did you want to say something? I mean, I have something.
Yeah,
sure.
No, this is important. First of all, thank you for bringing this point. It's very important that we bear in mind that this is targeting the Journal of Business Ethics. So this is not about the Journal of Politics. This is not about the Journal of Business Strategy. This is the Journal of Business Ethics. So bringing insights on the ethical side of, in parentheses, migration is very relevant. So describing the phenomena might not be as relevant as telling us why the phenomena may look the way that it does in the context of ethics. I don't know if that helps. So it's basically bearing in mind that this is not about a critique of migration or immigration. This is about the uncovering, the critical view of.
Yeah, that's what I try to say actually with that. So seems we're on the same page in that case. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? Or
maybe not a question. Do we allow also to share our, let's say, interest to the special issue, that if we have some work already under preparation for this special issue, can we also share some elements? I mean, what we are doing right now, or it's just about questions?
No, I mean, the way Yasser shared a bit about his work, right? I mean, if in that fashion you're saying, of course, it's an open platform, we'll be very happy to hear. Yeah.
So then thank you very much. First of all, I want to say this special issue come across in very right time. I was spending last 5 years working on my thesis, and my effort paid well. I graduated just in July with distinction, and my thesis was about immigrant entrepreneurship in Poland. And when I informed about this special issue, I started to develop a manuscript. Hopefully, we'll submit for this special issue. And I think it's aligned with what you already presented about the topics, the business ethics aspect of this special issue, because it's talking about Indian immigrants in Poland, and I conducted the research based on grounded theory. So no study have been done before about the Indian immigrant in this part of Europe, and giving the different contexts, political, social, and also economical differences in this part of Europe. It's good also to have some insight about immigrant entrepreneurship phenomena here. There is a lot of work being done, in particular for Indian immigrants. That is the largest group of immigrant and driving force of creating new businesses, but that was done in US, in West countries, but not much have been written about this in Poland. So I took this topic, I worked 5 years, and I built the grounded theory around this, and hopefully we'll submit for this a special issue.
Thank you, Mansoor. That sounds great. And I think at least the way you have described, it does seem to be aligning with the theme of our special issue. But yeah, anything from your side, Marco, Paulina, Arturo?
Just again, it's important that you are bringing this point forward. Just it will be a word of caution. The way that it needs to be positioned is not about Indian immigrants in Poland, but what can we learn that be extended about this particular type of immigrants at this particular type of location that can either be seen in other places or can be understood differently by looking from this perspective, in the context of like, this is ethical because like a clash of ethics, local ethics versus common ethics, or how local ethics have been bending because, or how ethics of new immigrants have been changing because the encounter of. So bear in mind that this is not about this particular descriptive moment, but how this moment can help us to understand better other instances.
Thank you very much for bringing this. So actually, we also consider this. This is the first theoretical platform about this phenomena in this part of Europe. We consider all differences from the supporting institution, from government support, from differences, what are the pull and push factor, and we consider the ethical aspect also when it comes to describing this within the theory we generated within this research.
Sure. Marco, you had something to say, I think.
No, I think that we also have some messages in the chat. which I think maybe we should give some attention. And I'm reading this message from Amal asking if we were open to accepting manuscript that draw on unconventional qualitative methodologies such as ethnography or duethnography. I think that in line with what we were just saying now, I think that yes, I mean, we're open to this, always thinking similar to what Arturo was just saying, how these methodologies can help us understand more about the phenomenon of migration, or understanding the phenomenon of migration in different contexts in a different way. So yes, also in terms of methodology, we are, I can say, and I think that the other members of the team agree, if this contributes to the topic of the special issue and the idea that we have behind the ethics of migration and understanding migration in a different way, absolutely yes. And I think also that these creative ideas, also connecting both theory and methodologies, can be very, very relevant. And so yes, again, if someone else wants to add something in terms of this aspect.
Actually, you bring a very good point, and this is something that I want to highlight to all participants. We would love to see new ways to understand, but we need to connect the new way of understanding to what we need to understand. So this is not a special issue on new methods of research. This is a new special issue on migration and ethics, where methods of research may provide new ways to understand that has not been seen before.
Yeah, Roya.
Yes, thank you to all the group for this very timely special issue. I have a question regarding, I saw a sentence in the call which says that we don't want to see immigrants as victims. We prefer to see them also in more, but the cases that I studied, they were victims. I was not able to find them. So is it like a bar that you are putting, or it is just a preference and you prepare to see also the more lighter side of immigration?
So in our call, we were trying to comprehensively capture the topic, saying that, yes, we would be interested in that side, but then it's not limited only to that side of always positioning it that way. So it was to say that even if somebody comes from the other side and presents some arguments, we'll be open to have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
But any more thoughts there, Paulina, Marco, Arturo? Okay, thank you, Roya. Any questions? Anything you want to share?
Hi, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Anna, yes,
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just working for data collection, so I can
No
put
problem.
the camera on.
No worries.
Yeah. My question was about the methodology also, and the openness to ongoing data collection. If the work in progress is part of a bigger project and the data collection is ongoing, how likely it is that the paper will be considered? Thank you.
I'm not sure I understood what was the question. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, but could you hear it?
Yes, no, I could hear you. I just, can you, I'm a little bit slow today. So can you just what is the particular question that you have? Like, what do you need to know from us in this context of this draft and data collection?
Yeah, so thank you. I mean, if we submit for the special issue call, but our data collection is ongoing. So for example, we have the ethnography, so participant observations supplemented with the interviews, but we plan to continue and possibly develop the data set. Is this an obstacle in terms of methodology? Is this a good formulation, or do I need to reformulate? Thank you. Maybe, sorry, an additional point is that if we consider the phenomenon of migration that is actively ongoing, that started this year, so, and it's kind of the phenomenon is still developing. I don't know if this is adding any context for the choice of the methodology.
Paulina, you have something to say.
So what I understood, if and please correct me if I didn't get it, Anna, is that you are still working on the data collection and you want to, and you have already a draft of the paper and you want, so what I would say if that's the case is that, you know, by the moment that you submit the paper or this manuscript, you would already need to have some kind of insight and contribution, because it cannot, I don't, and Arturo, Marco, and Vijayta, please correct me if I'm wrong. But you know, if it doesn't show already some kind of contribution, it's going to be very hard for us to, you know, to move it forward in the review process. So there would already need to be some very clear ideas of what's happening. I mean, if you were to add at the second route some more quotes, or you found something else, sure, but you already would have had needed to provide a contribution. Marco, Arturo, Vijayta, what do you think?
I think that you are right, and I just want to highlight something that you said that is very, very important. This is about a contribution, not about the stage of the research. It could be the first day of the research, but that has an insightful contribution, send it to us. It's been 10 years on the going, but you're still trying to figure out where is the voice of the contribution. It might not be the right moment.
Thank you for the answer. Yeah, it clarifies a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We have a question from Laura here in the chat. She's saying, I'm working on a paper with my colleague that explores the relationship between political organizational resilience and the ethics of care in the context of EU migrants working in Brexit Britain. In so doing, we are exploring what caring looks like for migrant workers and how we can develop an ethics of care in organizations in light of silences of Brexit that emerged in a study of migrant workers in UK restaurants. Would this be appropriate for this issue? Sorry, I cannot speak as I'm having issues with my mic. That's okay, Laura. Thank you for your questions. What are our thoughts?
Well, okay, Paulina, go.
Marco.
Maybe. Okay. No, go. Okay.
Well, politeness.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, we can. I can start, and then okay, that's good. Well, now I'm reading this message from Laura. Thank you for your message. I, Laura, didn't see you for a long time. I think that considering that I'm reading the words in your message, and we have ethics of care in the context of EU migrants working in Brexit Britain. I mean, as long as the contribution of the paper is in terms of ethics of care in the field of migration, I think is appropriate. I mean, I think is definitely on around the topic of our special issue, and I don't see any reason to say to you that is not appropriate for this issue. And I mean, because Arturo was saying, as Paulina said, and also as Vijayta said, if the contribution keeps inside the ethics of migration, I mean, I think that is definitely on point. And yeah, Paulina, sorry for the confusion with that.
It's okay. So thank you, Lara. Me too. I mean, I agree with what Marco just said. I mean, it looks like right on point regarding the topic. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would say. It looks like a very interesting, it should be a very interesting piece regarding what you're saying, a relevant one, because, you know, this is things that we have not maybe considered. So sure, we're looking forward to reading it. And I don't know if Vijayta, if anybody has any other questions, if you want to write it on the chat, that's also, you know, something doable.
Yeah. That's also perfectly fine if you want to type it down or you want to unmute yourself and ask it. Yeah, Suzanne, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for organizing this session. So I'm also working on EU migrants in the UK during Brexit. But one of the main challenges I faced with my co-author is that we are framing our paper around issues of identity work, identity conflicts. And we looked at JBE, and we only found one paper around identity issues. And I'm wondering if this is of interest to this special issue or it's out of scope.
Arturo?
I can just very quickly, again, sounds like a lovely perspective. We just want to think in terms of that we want to stay away of the politics of Brexit and focus on the impact of immigration, given that there's a framework that make it or not happen.
Yeah, no, the Brexit is just the context of our study, but the core is really about migrant identities.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I think that the main point, I mean, regarding all of your questions, which has been, you know, really, really interesting, and I think that also gives us food for thought, is, you know, keeping the migrant front and center. There might be different contexts, there might be different ideas, there might be different contributions that you're thinking about, you know, depending on what you've been doing, and so on. But I mean, as long as you keep the migrant in the center of your ideas, your contribution, your manuscript, I think that's the main issue that shouldn't be, you know, shouldn't get lost. Because if the migrant is not the center of the idea, then, you know, it's not going to be a suitable paper, because, you know, that's the main topic, that we want to know more about them, that we want to learn, you know, different perspectives about them. So the context, you know, it's we hope to get different contexts, and that's going to be, you know, making the special issue richer. But yeah, I think that's what needs to be kept in mind mostly.
Yeah, I also agree. I think the focus, or maybe the theories, even the theories that some of us may apply, may be very different. But then, like Paulina is saying, if the migrants and that idea is central, that is what we are looking for. And of course, like the way we've been emphasizing, that there has to be some theoretical contribution, whichever theory you're contributing to, in whichever way. Like somebody said, it's not new theory, which is perfectly fine. You might be extending, you might be bringing some nuance, you might be challenging some theory. And we are not particular about one theory and just talk about that. So that way, I think it's perfectly fine, even if it's about migrant identity, as long as it is around the issue of immigration and migrants. Yeah. Any other comments, thoughts, questions? So for some of you who joined a bit late, we are right now, the floor is open for Q&A. So we, more than Q&A, we'll say we are also happy to hear about your work, any topic that you might already be working on. So if you want to share that, that's perfectly fine. You might have a question to ask. We are open to that as well. Okay, Almina, please go ahead.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I just had a follow-up question on what you just said a second ago, that the migrant has to be in the center of the paper. So in our paper, it's my colleague Henriette, who also recently joined, and myself. We are looking at kind of ethical dilemmas in supporting refugee integration into the labor market. So we are actually looking at the experts that can be NGOs or even public organizations that support the refugees. So we are not specifically looking or talking basically to the refugees themselves, but to the experts that are responsible for refugee integration. So it is more an expert view. So then I was wondering if it still would be fitting to the special issue or not. And it's qualitative, the study, just for information. Thank you.
I can answer it. Well, especially for one reason, because it's also one of the focus of my doctoral research. So I explicitly focus on the people working with migrants. And for me personally, but I think also for the others, and if you disagree, just tell me. I think that it's not exactly, the focus is not necessarily the migrants, but migration. In this case, I think that if you are focusing on the workers, and but the topic of migration, in this case, integrations of migrants is the center of your work. I don't see any issue with that. It's not as like, we're not exactly looking at only a contribution to understanding like migrants, for example, identities or bodies or their integration in the workplace, but also how this the system, for example, that supports, the organization that supports the migrants. It's of course one of the topics that we are interested in. Is the migration more than the migrants as subjects or bodies that are the focus? And it is clear what I'm trying to say. I mean,
yeah, no, thank you. That's very clear. Thanks a lot. Great.
I don't know if someone else wants to add on this point.
No, I think that you brought a very good point that yes, we're interested in looking at how bodies cross borders, but we are also looking into how systems make this crossing possible or not, and the impact that the system may have on this crossing. So it's not about how the organization works, it's about how the organization in the context of the system impact this crossing.
Any more questions?
Sorry, one.
Yeah, Roya.
It's too complicated to raise hand. sorry, raise like this. So my question is that we wrote 3 different contributions, but only 2 of them is to ethics. One is to literature on undocumented immigrants. Is that fine, or you would like to have both 3 contributions to be to ethics?
I'm sorry, Roy. Yeah, I think I didn't understand. I don't know if it was me, but I didn't get it. Can you please repeat that?
Yeah, sure. So when at the end of the discussion section, we wrote, okay, we contribute to this and that, 3 different separate contributions. 2 of them are explicitly towards ethics. One of them is to the literature of immigrants. So what has been, particularly we are studying immigration laws, and that contribution is to that. So my question is, since we are submitting to Journal of Business Ethics, do we need to have all 3 contributions specifically to ethics, or it is fine if one of the contributions is to immigration literature? Was it clear or not yet? Okay.
So I'm going to venture out on this one, and please, co-guest editors, please do interrupt if you think this is not correct. But I think that as long as, you know, ethics is part of your paper, a strong part of your paper, if one of your contributions is to immigration theory, that's not a problem. Because I mean, immigration theory is something that we're also looking at, which is, you know, a natural thing that is going to emerge while researching this topic. So yeah, so I don't think that is a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Just one quick thing, and I think Paulina brought a very good point. We are not limited to see contributions only about ethics, but we need to see contributions about ethics. So like make sure that you hit, that you cross the T's on ethics. Like this is the issue of ethics and immigration. And by the way, also in the context of pure immigration, so make sure that you hit the journal, and then you can put, like, you have the tree and you can put some flowers around it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure, Vijayta, there are going to be any more questions, but if not, I mean, there's still a few weeks. I know it's not a lot of time. We know it's not a lot of time, but you know, if you're on the final stages of developing your manuscript and you have any questions, please do feel free to email any of us and just let us know how, if there's any way we can help, or if you have any anxieties on the submission. We hope you don't. And we're very much looking forward to reading the papers, and we're sure this is going to be a very cool and a relevant special issue on a topic that I think if we're all here is because we all feel some kind of passion towards the topic. So we're sure we're going to get really good submissions, and it's going to be a really good special issue. I don't know if Marco, Arturo, and Vijayta want to say anything else to close. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming. We're really excited about guest editing this, so we're excited that you're excited. So Vijayta, Marco, Arturo.
Perfect. We were live tweeting, so these questions have been reflected on Twitter. We're open to get further conversations, and we love the topics that we've been brought. We will love to have the possibility to bring all of them in the special issue. So if you keep it short and to the point, focusing on what you just told us, we will love it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for organizing. It was really helpful. Have a great one.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Just quickly, I'll want to draw your attention to CMS InTouch's upcoming session. We have on 24th of November, a session titled Surfacing Neglected Women's Stories. And it's part of our Inspiring Method series. So if that is of interest to you, please do register for it. And also, you might be aware that we are there on Eventbrite. And if you want to be updated about our future events, you can please subscribe to our Eventbrite page. And also, if you want to organize your own webinar, either as part of special issue series, or maybe as part of Inspiring Method series, or a standalone independent webinar also, we are more than open to have those proposals. And this is the email ID in which you can share your ideas, thoughts, and proposal. Last but not the least, let me acknowledge the great, fantastic CMS InTouch team that we have, whose efforts make these events possible. So thanks to Alex, Mark, Ritesh, Kirti, Arturo, Frederic, Kat, and Laura. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your time, attention. We are looking forward to your submissions. And like Paulina said, in case you have any questions later on, you just feel free to write to any one of us, and we'll be more than happy responding to you. So thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah, bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.